start with our tafsir now, inshallah. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. والله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله عما يشركون. So we continue the second last ayah of Surah Al-Hashr, and we went over some of the translation and the meanings of some of the names which were mentioned here of Allah Azza wa Jal. Now we'll continue from where we left off. We stopped at Al-Mu'min, and we explained and read about what is Al-Mu'min. So we move on to Al-Muhaymin. Allah's name Al-Muhaymin, which the translator translates over here as the guardian. The translator translates Al-Muhaymin as the guardian, which is correct. It's a good translation. As I mentioned the first time, the translations can never fully encapsulate the complete meaning. So what are some of the meanings of Al-Muhaymin which are mentioned here? The scholars first look at linguistics, lugha, language. So what does lugha mean, or what does Muhaymin mean in lugha? So the scholars explain that one of the meanings is Al-Muhaymin means to be ash-shahid, which is someone that bears witness, proves. And so in this sense, it would mean that Allah Azza wa Jal is, bears witness and knows of all the actions that come from people. It also means a meaning similar to Al-Mu'min, which is to give safety. It also means a Raqib, which is someone who watches over. So then Imam Ghazali rahimahullah in detail explains what does Al-Muhaymin mean. Al-Muhaymin means Al-Qa'imu ala khalqihi bi'amalihim wa arzaqihim wa ajalihim. The one who is responsible and carries out over his creation their actions, their sustenance, and their lifespans. And that is by bil-ittila'i ala wal-istila'i wal-hifdhi. That is by his overall knowledge of them, his power over them, and his guardianship over them. And that is from his knowledge and power and action. So Allah Azza wa Jal, because of his knowledge of all of his creation and all of everything, and his power over all of those things, he is able to do what it needs to be done for the sake of the creation. And the creation cannot do this themselves. So the creation cannot take care of themselves. They need Allah Azza wa Jal, which is why Allah Azza wa Jal is Al-Muhaymin. And these qualities cannot ever be gathered in one place except in Allah Azza wa Jal. This is why it is from the name of Allah Azza wa Jal, and it's a name mentioned in the Kutub Qadima, which is older scriptures as well. That Allah Azza wa Jal is the guardian of His creation. And guardian into the sense that He guards us in ways that we don't know. He guards us in ways that we cannot see. For example, we know that there are angels that many of times, 2 angels that are in the guardianship of every person. And because of those angels, many of times people are saved from trials. People are saved from accidents, right? So these angels are part of the world of the unseen. We do not see them. And so it's not just, Allah's guardianship is not just over our matters of our dunya as well, but the matters of our hereafter as well. That He's a guardian over justice, over the mizan, over all that which is to take place in the hereafter, with complete control over this and complete knowledge over this. This is Al-Muhaymin. Now, I kept mentioning in the past few weeks as well that one side of it is Allah's name as it is befitting of Him, describing Him, and one is our responsibility, us as servants, in face of this name or quality or attribute. So one of the scholars, he mentions that this name, what does it mean for the servant? and how can a servant try to observe this quality or this characteristic in himself, is that a person must overwatch their heart and must at all times supervise the depths and realities of their heart. And when they will have, if and when they will have complete control over the conditions of their heart, and they will guard it at all times, then they will be muhaymin in light of their heart. So in light of what you're controlling, which is your heart, your kingdom, right? Muhaymin is also the controller of al-mulk, right? So the being that is safeguarding and controlling mulk, the ownership, the creation, right? The dominion. Our dominion is our heart as people, as human beings, and this was explained, I believe, last week or the week before. Our heart is our dominion, right? Which is under our kingdom, which is under our watch and supposed to be under our control. So if a person controls it, then they will also bring this quality within their life. The next is Al-Aziz, which is, the translator here has translated as the overpowering one. This is one of the meanings of Al-Aziz. So Al-Aziz comes from, linguistically speaking, can be from Azza Ya'azzu, Azza Ya'uzzu, or Azza Ya'izzu. Many of times in a fi'l, in a verb, depending on its bina, the construct, just because of the what's known as the harf ayn, right? So they have scales and awzan, and on those awzan, right, depending on the haraka which falls on that scale, sometimes the meaning of a word will change. So it may compromise of the same letters. So azza compromises of 3 letters, ayn, za, and za. Right. When you place it on the scale of mudari', which is the future tense, present future tense verb, then depending on what haraka you put on ayn, it can have different meanings. So azza ya'uzzu, for example, this means ghalaba, which means to overwhelm, overpower. Right? So Allah Azza wa Jal says in the Quran, وَعَزَّنِي فِي الْخِطَابِ. Right? This is a description, one of the, is mentioned in Surah, that, one of the prophets, he said that عَزَّنِي فِي الْخِطَابِ, that this person overcame me in speech, right? The Arabs would say, مَنْ عَزَّ بَزَّ, أي مَنْ غَلَبَ سَلَبَ, that a person who overpowers, he is victorious over the other person, then he takes, right? He takes what he needs to take. So one meaning is overpowering, which is ghalba. Another meaning is azza ya'izzu, which is, for example, when it's said azza at-ta'amu fil balad, right? إذا تعذر وجوده. That, when something is aziz, azza, it's something which is rare. Its presence is not as available. Right? So this is one meaning of azza ya'uzzu as well. And so what would this have to do with Allah Azza wa Jal? Right? What would this meaning have to do with Allah's name Aziz? Is that there is no similar to Allah. Right? When something's value is in it being rare. The more rare something is, the more its value is. The rarest that a thing could be is that it's one. So if something is, if you have 2 models of a car, right? Its value it's rare, correct? There's only one other model. But if there's only one model of a car, it's the rarest that it can be. It is the only model, right? So Allah Azza wa Jal is one, we know, and in His qualities and in His attributes and being our Lord, He is one, is always one. There could never be anything similar to Him, and this is what it would mean, one of the meanings of Al-Aziz. The third meaning of Azza means when something is strong. Right? So something to be very, very strong, as it comes in Surah Yasin, فَعَزَّزْنَا بِثَالِث, that we strengthen the 2 with the 3rd. Right? So for something to be very strong, then it would mean, that would also mean aziz, something to be very, very strong. Imam Ghazali rahimahullah, in a detailed explanation of aziz, he says, aziz is the one whom a being like it is inexistent, right? يَقِلُّ وُجُودُ مِثْلِهِ, that its exact parallel is inexistent, and that تَشْتَدُّ الْحَاجَةُ إِلَيْهِ, right? Something that is strong is something that you'll rely on. So when you say aziz, that he's strong, it's because everyone needs that person, everyone needs that being, right? And يَصْعُبُ الْوُصُولُ إِلَيْهِ, and it's difficult to get to. Right? It's difficult to get to. Now, one would say, if there's something else which is also just one in its existence, does that mean that we could also give it the quality, the sifa of aziz? And this is just a discussion that they bring, more philosophical discussion. For example, Shams, there's only one sun, we only have one sun, whether there's other suns in a solar system, whatever, that doesn't matter. But for us as human beings, in our presence, there's only one sun. So could you say aziz to the sun? And the answer is no. Why? Because although it may be in existence only one, there could be in possibility, in imkan, there could be another aziz. There could be another shams, another sun. Right? So this now also then details our understanding that not only is there is no other aziz than Allah, there isn't even a possibility of being another aziz, who is Allah. And some of the scholars would say that Al-Aziz, the scholars of spirituality and tazkiyah, that Al-Aziz huwa alladhi la yudrikuhu talibuhu wa la yu'jizuhu haribuhu, that Aziz is the one whom those who are searching and seeking him, right, they cannot ever completely achieve him. Right? And those who are negligent of him, right, those who are negligent and far from him, they do not lessen his value. Right? You would think if something is being sought, when you seek something, it has value. But Allah Azza wa Jal is Aziz even if no one recognizes him. Even if no one believes in Allah, He is Aziz. Right? The Aziz if a person would like that he is able to bring this quality within himself, Aziz, it is that he make himself a type of person that others need him. Others need that person in the most important of their matters. And specifically that being the life of the hereafter. And this is the maqam, the rutbah, the place of the Anbiya alayhim salatu wasalam. We need the prophets. Right? The prophets are rare, right? And we need them. Right? And we need them, why? Not because of dunya, but we need them because of hereafter. Right? And this is the greatest thing that we could ever need them for, because of the hereafter. Next name is Al-Jabbar. Maybe we'll conclude with this. Al-Jabbar. So Al-Jabbar, he has translated as the irresistible. Al-Jabbar has a few meanings. One is that, and it would be described as that thing which is so high, so lofty, so great, that it is impossible for it to be completely attained. So greatness, right? Great people were called Jabbareen, very high, lofty, great people. And so if we were to describe or attribute this meaning to Al-Jabbar, then in describing Allah Azza wa Jalla, it would mean that He is Allah, high and lofty, Ta'ala, high and lofty. And the thoughts of the people, the intellect of the people could never completely encapsulate Him. And the vision of the people could never completely surround Him. And nothing of the intellect of the most righteous of people could ever arrive to his true reality. So this is one meaning of a Jabbar, so high and so lofty. Another meaning is that the one who is able to carry out his Mashi'ah, the one who is able to carry out or cause his desire and his will to be carried out, even if that's even if that's with force, right? With strength, right? And that the will, the Mashi'ah of any other being could not be carried out except because of his will, and we know that is none other than Allah Azza wa Jal. The third meaning is, as Jabara also means, to fix something, right? To rectify something, to fix something. So al-muslih lil-umur. And the dua of Ali radiallahu anhu, for example, he would say, Ya Jabira kulli kasir, that, oh, the one who rectifies every broken thing. Right? So this is also it could be a possible meaning, and in the sense, if it was to be described Al-Jabbar with this meaning and to describe Allah Azza wa Jal, then it would mean Allah Azza wa Jal who rectifies, and he rectifies things. Now this also, all these meanings, they connect, So for example, when you rectify something, this doesn't only mean, for example, a lot of times in the du'as, a person will say, Ya Jabir al-Qulub al-Munkasira, right? Or it comes a hadith that Allah Azza wa Jalla said, Ana inda al-munkasirati qulubuhum, that you'll find me where the broken hearts are, right? So where there's pain, where there's brokenness, right? Now the thing is that when we think about rectification, we think that rectification or fixing something is only painless, when that's not the case. If you stitch a wound, it's very painful, right? Stitching a wound can be very painful. So Allah Azza wa Jal rectifies things in the way that He understands for those things to be rectified. We may not understand even how that thing should be rectified, and He will do it with His strength and His force. And this is what is better, right? So at the end of the day, understanding that Allah Azza wa Jal is overwhelming and overpowering, this is a good thing. This is a good thing. Why? Because then what do we know? That we do not have full power in our hands. Imagine if we had full power in our hands. Do we deserve to have full power in our hands? Imagine what we would do if we had full power in our hands. Right? So Allah Azza wa Jal is Al-Jabbar. Now, the issue is today, if you describe that, God or Allah can force, people think, why does God have the right to force, right? And this is obviously false, and a lot of details can explain why this is false. But forget about what's bad. What is the good thing that we can get from this name? That Allah Azza wa Jal, one of the du'as the Prophet ﷺ taught us, Allahumma la takilni ila nafsi tarfat ayn. That, oh Allah, do not, leave me to myself. Do not give my ikhtiyar, my choice, completely to myself. Do not make me completely responsible. Meaning you drive me, you guide me, you drive me, take me by my finger and you guide me, and take me to where I need to be. So when we say Allah's name is Jabbar, this actually is, yes, it's a name of Qahar and Jalal, a name of power, and something which should make us fearful, but at the same time it can make us very hopeful as well. Make us very hopeful that, yes, the power is in the hand of the complete being, Al-Kamil, Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah Azza wa Jal, who is of all characteristics of perfection. Right? So then it is worthy, right? And he actually, the scholar who I'm reading from, he actually mentions this. Sometimes people would think that tajabbur, which is to be forceful, this is a bad quality. So why should Allah Azza wa Jal be described for this? So yes, it does make sense that for us as the khalq, the creation, it may not be a good quality. Why? Because you should only have the right to force someone or something to be a certain way if you 100% know that this is the right way. And if you 100% are perfect within yourself, that you are deserving to have that choice, do you deserve to have that kind of power, right? So Allah Azza wa Jal, this quality does not befit us, right? Because we do not even have the power to protect ourselves from harm. If you cannot protect yourselves from harm, then who are you to force your way on other people, right? Or on other things. So Allah Azza wa Jalla is Jabbar. He has the right to enforce over other things. He has the right to enforce over other people or things. And what does it mean now? If a person were to want to bring this quality within himself, how should a person do this? This is that if a person would want to make himself to be of this quality, then what should he do? He should strengthen himself, strengthen his iman, right? And then he will become Jabbar in the face of other creations, right? For example, if people of Iman were to be truly, people of Islam were to be truly of people of strong Iman, they would be able to enforce justice. We're not able to enforce justice today. Why aren't we able to? We're not able to. It's a mu'min's responsibility, right? Umar radiallahu anhu and the khulafa, right? This is what they did. Through their authority, they enforced justice. They enforced morality, ethics, adab. So if you strengthen your iman and you strengthen your akhlaq and your ibadah, then you'll be able to, through your strength, make the other people also come on the right path. You'll be a means for that. And this is that a person is not influenced, right? A person of jabr and strength is not influenced by other influences. So a person is not influenced by dunya, as the Prophet ﷺ was described in Surah Najm when Allah said, "Ma zagha al-basar," that the vision of the Prophet ﷺ does not go here and there. Right? His eye is on a target. And the Prophet ﷺ had this quality within himself the most. So much so that, what did he say about, subhanAllah, the scholar, he brings such a detailed, fine point. What did the Prophet ﷺ say? He said, even if Musa ﷺ was alive, he would have no choice but to follow my way. This is strength. Allah Azza wa Jal granted the strength of iman and akhlaq to the Prophet ﷺ to this degree that he became the means, right, through his strength to make other people come on the way of guidance. Right? So this is what it would mean to bring this quality in your life as a person. And we'll conclude here, inshallah, and continue we just have one last ayah remaining after we complete this ayah, inshallah, Surah Al-Hashr. Allah Azza wa Jal, just to conclude, Allah Azza wa Jal, this is Surah Al-Hashr. Hashr means to gather. Allah Azza wa Jal has gathered His names in this passage. He's gathered many of this. Literally, that's what's happening. He's gathered name after name. And some of these qualities almost look, and they are, as if they're contradictory to each other. How can a person be merciful but then at the same time be enforceful? Jabbar. He's Rahman, but he's also Jabbar. Right? He's Rahim, but he's also Mutakabbir. Right? How is this the case? And why is this important to understand? We need to understand Allah Azza wa Jal as He describes Himself to us, not the way we want Him to be. Most of the time, we want to think of our understanding, our imagination of what God has to be. We enforce our rules. What does God have to be? And so then for example, when trial comes, test comes, how could Allah do this to me? Right? How could this happen to me? Right? Because we're trying to think, in my mind, what should Allah be? But no, right? Allah is who He is. We need to recognize Him. He is not supposed to be any way that we are supposed to imagine or supposed to think of. Right? Allah is who He is. So this is a window that Allah Azza wa Jalla is giving us for us to learn about Him and to know Him. And with this, we'll stop and conclude and continue, inshallah, in the next week. May Allah Azza wa Jalla grant us understanding of these ayat, and may He give us the ability to bring these ayat within our lives, and forgive us for any shortcomings in our attempt to understand His perfect word. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Sadaqallahu al-azim. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi. Subhanallah wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.